Township of Cohasset, December 3rd, first monthly meeting. Cohasset Township, regular monthly meeting, December 3rd, 20.
That you saying what he's saying. Go away, send him out.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Adequate notice has been given to the Express Time and Star Gazette, satisfying the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act. If we could please stand for a silent prayer and then a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Wanda, we have to take these separate. Yep. Okay, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes on November 9th?
I'll make it.
Okay, is there a second?
Oh. I'll second that.
Becker?
Becker,
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
I'm sorry, D'Angelo?
Yes.
And Deanna.
And
Mayor, you?
oh,
I'm abstaining, yeah.
He has to abstain.
Yeah, abstain, yeah. Okay, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the November 12th meeting?
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
Becker?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
D'Angelo?
Yes.
And Kern?
Yes. Public comment pertaining to agenda items. Is there any public comment pertaining to agenda items? Seeing none. Move on to no attorney yet, so we will go right into council reports, and we'll start with Frank.
Okay. With respect to the Historic Commission, I went down to Trenton in support of the Hickson Nixle House being nominated to be placed on the State and National Historical Registry. And that's the Hickson Nixle House, if you don't know, is that brick house at the end of this road in Springtown there. It's right on the river there. And in fact, at one point in the 40s, it was our municipal building. We would have been meeting there. So we went down there, and I spoke in support of the nomination, and the nomination, not because I spoke in support of it necessarily. I think the application was well written, and it was approved unanimously. The nomination, I think they go through this nomination process, so that was a good sign. Another piece of good news is Michael Margulies informed us that we got a grant for $117,750 for the wing wall work on the Still Valley Road tunnel. We did the tunnel work, but the wing walls weren't touched, and we got more money to do that. As usual, Michael's very good at getting us grant money, so appreciate that. With respect to the finances, you should note that Mayor Kern, Mary Van Loo, and I went to the League of Municipalities meeting, and there was a lot of good sessions there. Though I attended the ones on finances mostly. But I remember a few meetings ago we had a question about, in the best practices survey, whether or not negotiation for shared services was good enough to qualify. To answer that question, yes, and I did ask that question, and indeed, negotiation was enough. It was an and/or type of question, and they said negotiation is good enough, and/or enter into. So we negotiated, and so we were able to answer that question, yes. Tonight we have a resolution for some more budget transfers. Again, in total, our budget is I think we've spent about 90%, 91% of our budgeted amounts, which for 11 months out of the year is pretty much right on target, but there's not a whole lot of room there. And we overspent in a few categories, underspent in some others, so we're going to transfer $11,000 basically between accounts. But the budget is tight. We had an aggressive budget and we're living within it, but we don't have a whole lot of room to be. I think I'd recommend, I think our CFO recommended that we freeze non-essential spending until the end of the year, until we see what the end of the year financials will look like. So, I'd ask the department heads to hold back on non-essential spending when we're this close to budget amounts. Phillipsburg Mall tax appeal. Do you want to talk to that, or you want me to talk to that?
I can address that, Frank. You'd like me to do it right now? I just was talking to Mayor Kern briefly. Again, apologize, guys, for being late. I had some.
Well, I only have one more thing, so if you're going to address it, I won't.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last thing was budget information requests will be sent out within a week to the department heads, so we want to get a head start on next year's budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I guess we'll go backwards and go into.
You want to go back to me, Mayor?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Just to follow up with Frank with respect to the Phillipsburg Mall tax appeals. Well, there's a couple things going on. Number one, we did at the last public meeting, well, not the special meeting with the fire truck, but the last regular meeting, we conditionally approved the settlement, subject to confirming that the mechanism to pay for that. I've had several back and forths with Bill Schroeder, also John Drakewitz, our bond counsel, just to make sure we have the ducks in order. Essentially, at this point, we have $180,000 we had already set aside just because we were starting to gradually build up a fund whenever they settled. We've settled, the change in ownership and create a window of opportunity. We're settling for a good number. The tax refund is going to be funded by that $180,000 and by the balance by an application to the local finance board. Because we're dealing with current year taxes, Bill tells me, back and forth to the local finance board, we're going to go before January, and with approval should be in February. So I've let the attorney for the mall know that time frame for payment of the tax refund would be that February time frame, and they're comfortable with that. I just want to make sure of that because again, this settlement, one of the various positive things about it is there's no interest on that refund, and that is a large refund that we're extending them. So that's where that stands. He also authorized me to change the time frame for payment of the refund from 60 to 90 days to make sure we cover that window. So I'm comfortable at this point. Bill Schroeder seems to indicate there shouldn't be any problem at local finance board. So if you want to entertain a motion to have me, I think the steps are set up for me to sign as the attorney for the township. Okay. If you want to throw on the motions calendar, a motion to authorize me to execute those, I will do that. I will send those to him and tell him to hold those in escrow until we definitely have that local finance board approval. But it looks like we're in pretty good shape there. And just a related issue, which just I briefly touch upon, the mall also got some subdivision approvals for the out parcels. I did see that down at the land use board. I did circulate. I don't know if I circulated to all of you on the council or not. I know I touched base with the mayor and stuff things, but one of the things we were going to want to address here in conjunction with that subdivision is we need to reallocate the sewage capacity over there because it was a lump sum allocation and now the out parcel. So I did get an email response from Lynn Arrow, the board attorney. He concurs with that, and I think he's going to build a condition in the resolution that he and I will make sure we're on the same page with, so that in addition to the subdivision, will come here and we'll straighten out the allocation issues.
For everybody's benefit.
Beyond that's a very big one. Beyond that, I don't think there was a lot. Well, I mean, there was some miscellaneous things that seem to be under control.
I'd just like to comment on that tax appeal. I mean, it is a large number, and I think we're going to spread it over a few years.
5, I believe.
3 to 5, or it depends on what the local finance board will let us spread it over. But I think the council unanimously decided to settle this. The easier thing to do would have been to kick the can down the road. These tax appeals go back from 2009 all the way to 2013, and the tax courts are so backed up that it would take several years before this got to them. But in those several years, this problem would have only grown and grown. So it's going to hurt to have that extra basically financing amount in the future years. It's going to make it harder to to keep taxes low, which we want to do, and I think we can anyway. But the easier thing for us to do would have been just to kick it down the road, and we decided not to do the easy thing because it wouldn't be the right thing.
I concur, and I absolutely recommended this settlement to the mayor and council. I mean, in terms of the particulars, I don't know if they've been. You want me to just briefly overview that?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe, roughly speaking, as Frank said, there were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or actually 5 years of tax appeals under litigation. And as Councilman Becker indicated, when those would be tried in the tax court is anybody's guess. The tax court is way behind in their docket. So every year we kept having these potentially 7-figure assessments. What we were dealing with essentially was we had very bad equalized ratios in this township until we just did our recent reassessment and brought them up to 100% our ratio. So because we had very poor ratios, our assessments looked very poor and were fairly difficult to defend, candidly. So just to put the settlement in context, we had years where on an equalized assessment ratio, which is, I won't get into the complexities of that, but that's the numbers we used. We were assessing our piece of that mall at roughly $60 million. Well, they bought it for 11, the whole thing. So you can imagine what we're dealing with and struggling with that. Over the 5 years, we were, the numbers that they were looking for, I mean, you're talking about, it could be $3, $4, $5 million worth of refunds, plus interest on that money. So, and as Councilman Becker said, every year that goes by, that 7-figure hammer sat over our heads. So we've been trying to settle it for years. When the mall was sold, it actually created an opportunity for really the first time to really talk to anybody because the mall was really part of a REIT and nobody was paying attention to it for most of this time period. So what we've done basically is settled all 5 years. All 5 years are going to be resolved. The refund, I believe, is about $1.3 million. So we've done a pretty hard negotiating job of getting that refund down to, and there's no interest on that number at all, and that takes care of 5 years worth of multi-million-dollar appeals. Going forward, as Councilman Becker said, the bottom line assessment is still going to be substantially more than what they paid for. I think our piece alone, just again, we own about 2/3 of that mall is in our township, about 1/3 is over in Opacon. So our piece alone is going to be assessed at roughly $20 million. So it was a hard-fought negotiation back and forth and so on and so forth. They actually rebated some of the refund, so we got about $70,000 back. That was the last piece of the puzzle. So there'll be a substantial refund, but we also avoid a potentially catastrophic judgment. And I would put that in context. And as I told my counsel, I'll tell you guys in the public, as I said, we had an expert, we had a good expert. In fact, he was the expert in the primary reported malt case. He was our appraisal expert. This settlement was reviewed quite thoroughly with him. He did a detailed memo. He thought it was a very good deal. I think it's a very good deal. And just to put it in context, down in Atlantic City recently, by way of example, the city of Atlantic City just got absolutely pounded by the Borgata to the tune, I think, of about a $50 million refund. So it kind of depends in large part what judge you get. There's not a lot of good case law in this area on what they call regional malls and how they should be assessed. And of course, we were going to deal with that sale, which the judge would certainly have been aware of, you know, and it really would come down to how much weight he gave to that $11 million purchase. So that's what we're doing as part of this settlement. As I said, $180,000 of it we had budgeted for. We always knew because of the potential size of it that we would have to bond a chunk of it. And that's what we're going to do down at local finance board. They have jurisdiction over that. Bill Schroeder, who's been our auditor for a long time, has got that application prepared. It will go in January because in January 2013 becomes a prior year obligation and we can put all 5-year settlement together. That's how I understand technicalities of the local finance board from Bill Schroeder. So that's what's going on with that settlement, and hopefully over time, as I also explained to the council, and again, just to follow up on the land use comment, they are subdividing the out parcels. Now they will become separately assessed. So they'll get their own tax bills. That will help a little bit. They've also doing things, I believe they've already announced at Gold's Gym. I'm not sure whether it's going to be back on site or not. It is.
We got that, yeah.
So again, as that mall starts to recover, hopefully, which was a consideration of our council too, not just, you know, what can we sustain in terms of litigation, but also what's in the best interest of potentially bringing that mall back up to a viable property. They have mostly triple net leases over there. And so whatever they pay in tax has to be built into their leases. So these tenants they're trying to attract, it will make it more competitive, that mall, to have a lower tax base. And as the mall slowly recovers, you know, our assessor will stay on top of that and can gradually, you know, build in increases as appropriate. So that's where we are with that settlement. And again, I think it was hard fought. I think it's a good one. And it certainly also has the benefit of saving, you know, thousands and more dollars of legal fees and also fees for our expert, which, you know, would have been, you know, could be substantial for next year. So that's a plus to the budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. Beyond that, I don't know. I think we're pretty much on. Nothing else I can think of. Mayor, I think legally wise,
yeah,
we're in good
I think
shape.
that's it. Very good. Thank you, Kevin. Mary?
I'll be doing my police report at the second meeting that we had this month, but when I was down at the league, I tended to focus on shared services, especially if it related to police. So that was kind of like the focus of my time down there. And I think that's it.
Very good.
Very short today.
Sal?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. I just would like to echo, between, I think, Frank, Mary, and I think we hit a lot of different seminars at the league last week, and I think it was good that we were all able to go and get some good information. One of the things that I had went to, which we're going to try to start next year, is a mayor's wellness program, which encourages the community to, as a whole, lose a set weight amount. And a lot of the things they do is they partnership with local gyms, which we have, the hospital, and other things of that nature to try to promote healthy living and walking within the community. So that's something that, you know, I hope to start next year. They also have walks with the mayor and the police. So, you know, get ready for that maybe next year. But they do things like that where, one, it promotes community. It allows people to get out and talk to, you know, workers of the municipal building, elected officials, and also it promotes healthy living. So it's something that we're going to try to do here in Powhatan, which I think has been this program, which there is grant money for, was very non-existent, I think, in Warren and Hunterdon County.
Oh, I have one more thing to add about the league. The municipality did not have to pay for my room down there. I stayed at the at Revel, and they comped me my room, so no cost to the township.
And they didn't have to pay for some of our transportation.
Yeah.
Oh, none of our transportation, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah, some people, there are a lot of
Oh,
municipal,
I know what you mean, yes.
there were a lot of municipal plates down there too, so,
I did not, yeah.
Of what?
municipal plates.
Yeah?
I didn't put in for mileage. That's, you guys, I just think that's too cool.
So, does anyone,
Hey, Air Force One or Powhatan One?
They took the hack out of one.
If you'll pay for it, I'll be glad to rename it.
so do we have, does anyone have any objection to taking these resolutions all together?
I don't, I'll move it.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
Yes.
Greenwood? Yes. Jones?
Oh,
I'll figure it out.
yes.
And resolutions.
Yes. Okay, ordinances, second for public reading, ordinance 13-13, chapter 213, titled quarrying. Do I have a motion to open that to public
I move
hearing?
we open this to public comment.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Does anyone have public comment on 13-13 on quarrying? Being none, do I?
Okay, then I will move that we close public comment and adopt the ordinance.
I'll second it.
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Dan Blue?
Yes.
Dan Jelly?
Yes.
And Kern?
Yes. Okay. Motions. The Warren County Mosquito Commission, what block and lot is that? Before we, does anyone know?
I
What
meant to
prop,
look at-
Block 109.
what property that is? Does anyone know? Is that public property or private property?
Township property down by 627 acres.
So it's ours?
Mountain Road, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that,
There's like some kind
on
of-
Mountain Road, there's, where I had to meet with, people from,
I think that's what it is.
there was Verizon, there was
Yeah.
ACP, no, I think was there, and I
And-
forget who else.
The South Warren Municipal Alliance, do we have that here,
Isn't it the same?
Wanda? Or is that somewhere else right now, the actual grant?
You know, every year,
It takes,
Best Greenville is
Yeah,
in charge
yep.
right now, like where Lopat, Pohat, Greenwich, and Alpha all get we're part of the South Warren Municipal Alliance, and they raise money, and it's used usually for the air programs,
something else.
things like that. So, I don't know why they're extending the 2013 grant period this year. Like our funding we got from 2013, they're allowing us to use it. And do you know why?
Not enough people submitted invoices in time, and if they don't extend it past December 31st, then they won't be able to pay the obligations they've already told the municipalities they would fund.
gotcha.
What's the difference between that the resolution, the last resolution and
Well,
this
because there's
motion?
the resolution authorizing the application for
Mhm,
an
to join.
extension of it, and then there's an actual application that the mayor needs to sign.
Okay.
And they have a meeting on Thursday at 3:30 in Lopat. And it's probably to get housekeeping in order, but I'm not sure. But I believe they are meeting.
All right, and then, do we need this is gonna sound dumb, but do we need a motion to put the motion to execute the mall settlement?
No, I think it's just a motion. It can be on there by
It can
consent,
just
right?
be on
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we,
Set a motion to authorize the execution of the, yeah, I think that's correct, Mary. We should add that just as a third motion to execute the,
To authorize Attorney Granbrook to,
stipulations of settlement for the tax appeals, the Phillipsburg Mall.
Yeah, wasn't it based on something?
A 90-day rather than 60 days or something.
Yes, we're amending it, the time for payment to 90 days.
Okay, that's-
On this
Okay.
case, yeah.
all right, so we have all those motions.
All right, and I will move those motions if everybody's agreeable.
Second.
Okay. Becker?
Yes.
Dan Lou?
Yes.
Dan Jelly?
Yes.
Dan Kern?
Yes. All right, mayor's announcement. The rabies clinic will be held at the municipal building on Saturday, January 4th, 2013, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. There's also conveniently the same animal control officer is in Lopat, Phillipsburg, and I believe Alpha.
Yeah.
So you can take your animal to any of those. It's not just exclusive to POHAP, but there will be one in town here. All right. And now, general public comment. Are there any general public comments? If you have one.
Real quick, that's January 4th, 2014.
Yes, you're right.
Oh,
Yeah, that
I
would,
didn't even catch that, and I usually catch those things.
that's good catch.
Do we, also January seems to be the month when we renew dog licenses. Who is handling this? We've
Please.
got different things about it.
I believe that's public safety, right?
Well, it is public safety, but I'm in terms of employee that people would know to go to.
I think I'd mentioned that Susan Shire volunteered.
I know she did, but I didn't know if it was official or not.
Well, I think what I have to talk to Vince about if he's going to have anyone at the clinic, because if not, then we might want to have
Okay, now,
someone.
We can't have someone at the clinic there because we went with the computer program and it's currently installed on mine and Wendy's computer because that's the direction that we.
do we have a laptop that it can be on?
Well, can they write paper ones and then they be?
No, you
scanned?
can't. You do one or the other.
No, but you write them on paper and then you type them in. Could you do that?
Data entry?
That's what I'm thinking.
The program prints out the permit for them. So once we put it, unless we just take information down, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was
But if
thinking.
you have your laptop, you have to use it to.
I think you could take down the info probably if people are there. That way, and then if they pay it, then they can come and pick it up or we can mail it to them.
Well, and I had asked the mayor before, and so had Wendy several times. We were just wondering, are we going to do it the same way that we've always done in the past? Is mail out the applications to all the township residents. And then last year, what we did was do it all through the mail.
Well, that would be, I mean, you could try doing it that way, but, and I know a lot of the people actually who do come for the shot aren't even from HACOM.
Yeah.
Because I was there with my dog and I was talking to the various people that were in there, and people were coming from as far away as Great Meadows, because, you know, they missed it in their township. Now, we're one of the first this time, so I don't know if we'll have so many people coming. From
A lot of towns do theirs in November and December, which I was surprised.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then, the letter should go out then. Would Susan be doing that then? Does she?
Well, the problem is we're in limbo as far as between the two programs. So if we do it, it'll have to be done, the work will have to be done to write up a letter and then out of the book and then done into the new computer.
We don't have a paper book.
No, if you were to write a letter though, you would be going from the book from last year and sending those
look again.
people.
Oh, see, in the past, we've sent it to all residents. We don't have a way to just sort of select who the dog owners are.
Because the book is not in alphabetical order or anything
No.
like that.
No. And sadly, we have some people that we license that don't live until that time.
We do?
So we send out a letter that,
But we always mailed out the application that said, you know, you tells you that your dog has
Yeah.
27 months of old age, and then it must be licensed, and the rabies vaccination has to be good through November of the year, and to provide proof of that. And $9 if they're spayed, or $12 if they're not.
the other thing maybe too is if people, what was that? Well, I was going to say maybe we could have extended hours where if people, when they get home from work, if they need to come in, if they don't do it by mail, have the people come in that way too. thinking out loud.
I was gonna say.
Like a
how
couple
can-
days?
How can Sue be doing licenses if it's on the other two computers?
She'd have to go sit up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Wendy's in the morning and Susan.
Yeah, Susan's in the afternoon. So if we set a certain designated days to do it, and then even if we had extended out, like a night when the tax assessor's here or the zoning officer, we could also have, because that was our original idea too, to have the animal control
All
officer
right,
here.
well, the thing is, they are to be paid by the end of January,
Yeah,
and otherwise, people get assessed $5 each month.
yeah,
if
for
they're
each
late.
month. So we should have them, maybe only those hours will take place in January,
Yes.
right, for the, but let me talk to Vince first about if he has any way that if he wants to be there for anything or has any preference, and then we'll
Did they,
figure.
yeah, I saw that thing but walking across.
Yes.
Did, so then Vince won't need any extra help because people would just be coming in? Well, they have to fill out the paperwork for the for the shot though. They get
Yeah.
maybe certificates, so they're still gonna need paperwork.
Which I imagine he's supplying himself,
Right,
but I have to check
But
with
they
him
won't
because,
have they won't have the paperwork before the ceremony.
no, yes, you'll have to pick it up there, but at the same time, we could also have the paper form if people want to do that. I think that'd be a good option for them.
But
So-
do we have the blanks? I don't know if we ordered them this year or not.
It doesn't, yeah, but what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what the paper looks like because you're just inputting it on a computer.
I
yeah.
thought you said that you couldn't do that.
They're just gonna write down the information on the phone, piece of paper, but they're how the books, like, Tony.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
Right, because the computer system will print out their certificate.
All right, so can you do then that data entry on your computer, the computer program, and then it would print out the certificate and that could get mailed to them?
Right, along with the license.
Along with their license? Oh,
There you go, that's what I'm saying. So
So-
if people are there, they could get it,
to get all the
Yeah.
information that needs to be going in.
because I'm sure there'll be a few people.
And they have to pay for it at that time.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is maybe the application that you would normally mail, you could have those in blank at the rabies clinic. People could fill them out,
Exactly.
write their check, Wanda, and then you or Wendy or whenever when you have time, could just
Or
input the
Sue.
data, print out the certificates and mail. That sounds doable, right?
Yeah, my question is, we'll need to make sure that they have a valid rabies vaccination. See, because
Right.
they could do, what, 2 or 3 year rabies vaccination, so if they got it last year, we need to have a copy of the valid rabies vaccination.
so that-
Well, I'm saying you could do that manual way for the people who come to the clinic. 'Cause-
Yeah.
And then,
because they're getting a rabies shot.
and then you could still, I guess, do the generic mailing.
Yeah.
Try to cover everybody else.
Yeah,
And
that
you
makes
wanna mail it
sense.
to all the residents then? Like do a mailing to all the residents?
I think we may have to do that.
Yeah,
And this will be the last year because the new system will then next year we can make
Populate it.
a letter to just the people.
Just those, yeah. So
And
one more year
that's
we can do a
good,
master.
But then, but we still have to have the information out there for anybody who gets a new dog.
yeah, that's the problem, yeah. But then after that, it's going to be incumbent upon the owner to do the research themselves. And then,
Because
yeah.
I've talked with a lot of clerks, they don't mail out applications. They feel, you know you have to renew your
Yeah.
driver's license if you want to get married, if you want a fishing license, if you have a dog, it's
Yes,
your
but,
responsibility.
hey, look at how many expired registrations and stuff we're picking up, so.
We need a dog license reader.
Yeah, there you go.
In that case, though, if you're going to next year, no longer send out all the residents, just to the previous dog owners, what about new residents, or people that decided, well, if we don't?
That's what I just said.
They'll have to research it.
I said we would have to make sure that we get out. Can you hear better? We would have to make sure that we get out to the residents, so
Yeah.
that residents know.
I agree.
What they need to do if they get, like you said, if they move in or if they didn't have a dog and now they got one.
Okay, so that's what we'll do for that. I'll talk to Vince too. All right, any other public comment? Please come up in.
I just want to thank the council for spending their personal time to go to that municipality's benefit the town. And extra thanks to Frank for saving the cost of travel to the town also. So that was above and beyond. I appreciate it.
No pun intended.
Spending the time to go there.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we don't need executive session tonight. I don't need one. Does anyone need executive?
Hang on. Let me, I want to clarify this. We only have $747 in the general account for rent.
I'm sorry, what general account?
Are you talking about?
He's looking at the rec budget.
Oh.
That's the rec's budget. That's their checking account.
Oh, right up here, 747.
That's the Powhatan Recreation Rec's checking account.
That's their checking.
Okay.
They have 747.
All right, and what
We're all
was
set with the fire truck.
No, there already was. It's still,
That's with the advertising though. Didn't
Oh,
make any
that's
sense.
10 days.
Yeah. It was not,
what was that?
not cover that under, oh, yeah, old business, yeah.
Yeah, we can get old.
Just one quick item, as far as the fire truck, Wanda had called me, we were just, regurgitating to make sure we dotted i's and crossed t's, because it's the first time we used a national public co-op to get a piece of equipment, which I think, give credit over here to our, give credit to our CFO, I guess, for coming up with that. It seemed to work quite well, but there's just an issue about advertising. If you recall, we made the award subject to advertising, and after looking at it further, I gave Wanda the legal advice that we don't have to do that. And I think we also confirmed that with the company, because that's the whole point of going to the co-op. So that's now done. It made no sense to make an award and then advertise. So.
okay, this was done before November 30th, I hope?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're locked in with those prices.
I'm just after
Yeah.
the fact advising you guys that if you didn't see that, it's because I instructed Wanda that we didn't need to do that, okay? We did advertise the financing and all that stuff. We had to advertise. This was just a, okay?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move it.
Are we going to pay what bills we can, or we skipped over the motion to pay bills, I guess, because
Did we?
Black is not here.
You know what, that's right, I noticed that. You went right from approval
Oh,
to public
okay.
comments.
I guess motion to pay bills except those in the DPW. Can we, how would you like us to phrase that, Larry?
Subject it to final approval from Councilman Slack.
Okay.
I won't be able
Are you
to-
comfortable?
That'd probably
Are you okay with that?
be-
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
That's what you want us to move?
yeah.
Okay, I will.
Second?
Okay, Becker,
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, said something. Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes. Okay, now,
Now I move we adjourn.
Second?
all in favor?
aye.
Aye. What time is it?
7:39.
was our record?
Boom.
That's a
That was pretty quick.
Record for the current era.
Well, he might
No, I
have
have
a lot
one.
going on. Just no.
It was, you know what? I think it was canceled.
How are you?
Yeah, this is the